Hey everybody, I can't believe that this is going to be the first video of 2025. It's insane to think about, and I just hope that everyone enjoyed their holidays and Happy New Year to everybody. I chose to record this one in advance so that I could also enjoy my holidays. I know my Vlogmas videos were pre-recorded way before they came out, and I also can't wait for you guys to start seeing the Skyrim videos every second week, if I'm not mistaken. But as you can see by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about my books that, gosh, I started from high school, and basically I wanted to talk about the ones that I've already done, because I have a feeling that inspiration is going to strike and I'm going to do more books. So I thought, why not just talk to you guys about the ones that I already have before they become so much that I'm not able to do it in one video. And I mean, it's already 23 books. So obviously I won't be talking about all 23 because 6 of them are, not 6, 9 of them are trilogies. So basically a bit less, but still a lot. So let's get into it. Let's see. I have them all written down, but I put them in a random order because I just felt like putting it in a random order. I didn't want to go by like the very first one I've done till now, because I actually can't tell you by that order, because I've done like 4 a year or 5 a year. So let's just get into it. It's got its own complications. So okay, first one, Misdiagnosed Book 1 and 2. So I started it in 2021, and my gosh, I just wanted to say though, I have all my books self-published, yeah, on Wattpad with the username CTETC. I'll probably have it on the video, or if you have watched, I think end of November I did a video answering a Q&A, and I also mentioned it there. So all of these books are on Wattpad if you want to go check them out. So Misdiagnosed is actually about my health journey that has been crazy. I apologize for this loud noise. The everyday sounds. But Misdiagnosed is about all of the complications that we have faced with my health over the years, that doctors have said one thing or another thing, and all the different tests that had to be done, or the traumatic situations that I've been through at hospitals. And basically it's to help those that are struggling through trying to find out what's wrong with their health, to show them that you're not alone, and also to maybe give some insight as to what to do in situations when things go wrong at hospitals. So I'm pretty proud of that one. Still going. That's, I think, one of the only books that's not completed, because I write it from personal experience. So until the day comes where I'm fully diagnosed, I think the books will still be going. So let's do the next one. Deadly Shore Trilogy. Okay, so this is the very first trilogy I ever did. It started in 2017. And I finished it in 2020. So it was not that easy to basically write the trilogy in high school because I had such a crazy schedule, which is funny because it's not that crazy compared to university. But I had trouble focusing on writing the book and trying to keep up with school. It was not possible at the time. So Deadly Shore holds a special place in my heart because, fun fact, it's not, even though it's the first trilogy that I have done, it's not the first book I've ever written. The first book I ever wrote was, I think I was in primary school, and I did a whole book series. You won't find them, they're all gone. I wrote them by hand, and I have never been able to find them, so they're pretty much gone. But it was called How a Vampire Got Its Feelings. I think that's what I called it. And it was supposed to be some like book where a vampire falls in love or something, but I mean, I was in primary school and it was nuts. And Deadly Shore is basically about the supernatural group of friends that get recruited by a secret academy and they go through all these adventures together. And I also put in a little bit here and there of my personal life. A little bit, some stuff happened, some stuff are too crazy to have happened, but it holds a special place in my heart because it was the very first trilogy that I've ever done, and it was very special. At the time, I was friends with all the people in that group, and my throat is scratchy today. Don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm getting emotional, or maybe it's the heat, I don't know. But I was friends with everyone in that friend group because I based it off of friends, but not entirely because it's like supernatural characters. So yeah, they go do all kinds of missions and it gets pretty dramatic. But if you like supernatural phenomena like vampires, werewolves, wizards, witches, all those kinds of things, which, although let me just say this before you start reading the book, I started writing this book before the originals, before that was completed, and before before Legacies was starting off as a new series. So I didn't know that there was going to be a tri-breed announced. So I basically just guessed of a werewolf, vampire, witch, which is why in my book I call her a hybrid witch. So if you see that and you go, but it's a tri-breed, I did not know that term at the time. Okay, In Another Life. This book doesn't really hold a special place in my heart, to be honest with you. It does not. I wrote this when I was going through a breakup, and basically wrote about how in another life, how things would have been had it gone properly. Basically, all the things that you would expect or hope for in a relationship compared to what they were. I wrote this in 2022, and yeah, not one of my favorites. Not really. Oh, okay. In 2024, I wrote Adore, and then I wrote its sequel, Alone. So Adore and Alone is about, it's very complicated when you say first love, because then people think that implies it's the first person you've ever, when that wasn't the case. I wrote it about the first person that I ever had strong, genuine feelings for, that I had quite the rocky relationship with, and I think I started writing it because at the time we were speaking, because we're not friends today, unfortunately, but at the time we were speaking, there were quite a lot of details about our falling out that either he didn't understand or I didn't understand. So writing these books were my way of saying, like, you move on, but you will always care for that person, or you will always have an adoration for that person, even if you're not with him. So yeah, I think alone is more of the acceptance that it's done, that it was a part of your life, it's not your life, you move on. So that was that one. Ooh, Blink Twice, that I wrote in 2022. Blink Twice is actually, I think I came up with this book and sorted it out in like a week or something. But it's basically about this character that has all these strange things happening, and it happens very quickly. So there are a lot of things happening all at once, and you've got like this mystery of what actually happened to her parents, what happened to her sister, what place is she in, what people are she like surrounded by, what's going on. And I'm not gonna spoil it, but I feel like I ended the book pretty well. It might be a shock, but it was fun. I enjoyed that one. Especially, I tried to make the names mean something in my books. So the names in that one meant something. The beast within me restored my inner peace. Okay, this one I also did in 2022. Well, this book I find funny. I find it so funny. I wrote it when I was going through a breakup, and I was writing about all these ways to get over the person, how to move on, how to have no feelings for them. And then I ended up dating the guy again, and then I ended up breaking up with him again, and pretty much had to repeat all of the rules that I wrote in that book. So yeah, that's why it's funny to me, because it's like you acknowledge all these things that are wrong in a relationship, only to have hope, go back, and then you see, wait, but all these things are still wrong. Yeah, so that's that one. Okay, Promise Me Forever in 2024. This one was very difficult to actually write. Not difficult that I couldn't write it, more so it's very emotional. Very emotional. It's about this couple where the husband has been in an accident and he's in a coma, and she basically is an author, if I'm not mistaken, and she writes about their love story. So she reads to him basically like the night we met, or when we had our first kiss, or things like that. So she reads about their life to him. Also showing her own life with her children, their children. But it's very emotional, and I shall not spoil all the details, but it's very emotional. It's a situation that no one wants to be in, but it was a type of book that I had not written before, so it kind of challenged me to try something new, in a sense. Oh, I think this is my latest book. Well, to date, my latest book, I Loathe You. I wrote in 2024, my last book of 2024. I loved doing this book. I absolutely loved it because I was so determined to turn this book into a trilogy because I fell in love with it. I incorporated a bunch of Latin words into the book. So it's this story about this woman that becomes queen, and the words have a lot of meaning in this book. Like Orium, one of the kingdoms, means gold or golden in Latin, and Saxum is one of the other kingdoms, and I think that means stone. And like Sortus means fate, if I'm not mistaken. So I could be pronouncing them very, very incorrectly, but as I mentioned, it's a queen who is trying to rule with an iron fist and is trying to get over the betrayal of her former lover. And basically you get to see her coming to her own and grow as a person as she's now newly queen. And I was so determined to make it into a trilogy once I finished, because I didn't want it to end. But no, shall not become a trilogy. Oh, speaking of trilogies, Gotham's Finest trilogy. I did this in 2022. Okay, so some people might not like it because it's DC fan fiction, and some people, there's like this thing that if you're not a Marvel fan and you're a DC fan, then you're supposed to hate Marvel. I'm not like that. I don't see a reason to hate Marvel. I love them both. So some people might get mad about that. I don't. So it's a DC like fan fiction. And it just came to me one day when I was watching, what's it called? Oh, I was watching Titans on Netflix, and I just fell in love with the whole DC aspect and how the characters changed and the storylines, and it just, I don't know, it just got my inspiration going, and I just started typing, and I think I finished all 3 books within like 2 months or something. Like I had a serious, not stroke of genius, I can't say that, but the inspiration was flowing, so I just didn't want to put the pen down. Kind of hurt my hand because I have Decovein's tenosynovitis in my hand, so if I write for too long, then it actually hurts the muscles and nerves in from my fingers till my elbow. But I was writing, and it's a combination of things. So book 1 is about Ace, which is Harley Quinn and Joker's daughter. Book 2 is about Crow, a character that I made up who's James Maxwell, and if you've watched, I think it's called Batman vs. Robin. It's an animated movie where they speak about the Court of Owls. So basically his character is formed as his parents were killed by Batman. So he has a vendetta against him, and then the 3rd book is where Ace and Crow meet each other. And it's very action-packed, a lot of swear words, but I mean, it's DC. I enjoyed making that because I love DC, so that was a lot of fun to make. Ooh, this is a good one. I Hate Love, that I did in 2023. This one was very cathartic to write. Very. because it's about this character where she was deeply, deeply hurt by not only her former lover but by all the people around him. And basically, I think she lives in a castle. I mean, I'm jealous of this chick. She lives in a castle. They're rich as hell. Very odd family. It's almost like the Addams family, in a sense. And she takes revenge on all of those people. And each of them, she takes revenge in a different way. But then she does all of this whilst her former lover is watching all this happen and saves him like for last. It's very, very dark, and it was fun to write. You know, you just explore your imagination. So that was a lot of fun. Ooh, the Countdown trilogy that I did in 2023. It's crazy, it doesn't feel like I did it in 2023. It feels so soon. I loved writing this trilogy. I was falling in love with it as I was writing it. I don't know if that makes sense. But it's about this woman that ends a relationship, but she doesn't like expect it. It just gets ended out of the blue. And she has like a one-night stand with this random guy, finds out that she's pregnant, but is actually from her former lover, and it brings like a whole scandal. So to save this man's company and reputation, they end up getting married, and a bunch of things happen that I can't tell you about, so you have to go read it. But a bunch of things happen to bring them closer, and it's almost like an appearance versus reality type of story, because he seems so perfect on the outside, but when you get to know what it took for him to be that way, you actually see more depth in the character, and you see her change as well as she gets to know him. And there's also the bonding with her friends, bonding with her mother, and seeing like complicated family relationships with his family, how power can sometimes take over and rule over love. So it was a lot of fun. It's also very dramatic. Very dramatic. So damn dramatic, but I loved it. Garden of Evil. Oh, this was a sad book to write. I did this in 2024. However, it's more of a mystery thriller type, like almost horror, almost kind of book, because I had not done something to this extent of the book before, where the mother finds out that her eldest daughter is dead, and they basically have to find out who's the killer. So throughout the book they're trying to find out who is the killer, and it's like always this ominous feeling of what's gonna happen next. How do we keep everyone safe? And then the ending is pretty wild. So I feel like that'll be a good read. That's a good one. Untitled, I did in 2022. Untitled is it's also a supernatural fantasy kind of play on a book, where this group of friends come together in the hopes of learning more about their powers that they've just suddenly gotten. Like they'd never had powers before. There was some sort of I think it was like a acid rain or something. There was some sort of crazy disaster that happened where people were starting to get powers. So they come together and they start training, and they find out more about each other, and they start, I think they go on missions and It's almost similar to, okay, this is where it gets bittersweet. It's almost similar to the very first trilogy I did of Deadly Shore, and they sort of link together, and the ending is so bittersweet that it made me cry when I came up with it. So you'll have to read that one to understand why. Ooh, I Do or Do I? Now the title of this book is probably one of the only things I'm grateful for when it comes to my exes. One of my exes joked about getting to the altar and going, I do or do I? And I thought that would be a fun name for a book. And basically this book is about this crazy couple. I think it was Audrina Pierce and Parker Knight, if I'm not mistaken. And basically a very dramatic relationship, very dramatic, where they meet up and it's always like this will they won't they, and it gets complicated, and eventually they start dating, but there's so many more things that happen to make it even more complicated, and it's like testing the limits of love, if I say it that way. Testing the limits. Ooh, okay, I like this one. Psychotically Sane, I did in 2024. Now, Psychotically Sane is also like a supernatural fantasy type of book, where this girl basically has her life turned upside down, and they end up going to, I think it's called Ethereal, which is this entirely new world, like a new realm, where she was actually born, and she learns so much more about herself, about her powers, and that there are so many other people that, well, I say people, but they're not necessarily people, because you get different types. There will obviously, there's like werewolves, witches, phoenixes, so many different breeds of creatures, and a lot of complexities, like getting to learn her parents' backstory, and there's a big secret that she learns that makes things go haywire, and she feels like she's going crazy, but she's learning more, and as she learns more, she goes from psychotic to sane. Like, she starts realizing, I'm not insane, this is actually what is the truth and what is happening. And it was a lot of fun to write. So those are all my books that I've written from 2017 to 2024. I seriously can't wait to start writing new books, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you check out the books. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and click the bell button so you're notified every time there's a new video.